You want to go back for a little bit more? I think I see there's still cake back there, so please make yourselves at home and make sure that you get plenty to eat.
Oh, yeah,
So I feel like I need to have a little disclaimer for this part for about half the people here. And so if you're a principal or a central office person, or for a lot of our sponsors who have been sponsors for a long time, the Teacher of the Year banquet probably seems a little bit like that movie Groundhog Day. You know, that the same thing happens every year. And it does, and sometimes Eric will say, well, you know, we do the same thing every year. And my thing is that it's okay that we do the same thing every year because, no offense to those of you who get to come every year, but it's not about you. It's about, it's about our Teachers of the Year. And it's my favorite night of the whole year where we get to really celebrate and honor some really, really special people. And so, y'all know that in Wayne County we're all about literacy and we're all about reading great stories to students. And so it's not quite like having a story after lunch, but you've got your dessert hopefully, and we're about to have a story about teachers. And I almost didn't read a story this year, but Teachers of the Year, these beautiful mums that are on your table are for you to take home. And today, when I was thinking through this, I did start thumbing through my books, and one of my very favorites is My Great Aunt Arizona. And My Great Aunt Arizona always had blooming flowers in her classroom, and I think that there's a special message about blooming flowers. So tonight I'm not going to show you the pictures. You're going to have to visualize, which is a really good thing for children and adults to learn to do. So put on your thinking caps, and we're going to let you visualize as I read My Great Aunt Arizona. And my favorite page is the dedication that says, for all teachers, members of the most influential profession in the world. My great aunt Arizona was born in a log cabin her papa built in the meadow on Henson Creek in the Blue Ridge Mountains. When she was born, the mailman rode across the bridge on his big bay horse with a letter. The letter was from her brother, Galen, who was in the cavalry, far away in the west. The letter said, if the baby is a girl, name her Arizona, and she will be beautiful, like this land. Arizona was a very tall little girl. She wore her long brown hair in braids. She wore long, full dresses and a pretty white apron. She wore high-button shoes and many petticoats, too. Arizona liked to grow flowers. She liked to read and sing and square dance to the music of the fiddler on Saturday night. Arizona had a little brother, Jim. They played together on the farm. In the summer, they went barefoot and caught tadpoles in the creek. In the fall, they climbed the mountains, searching for galax and ginseng roots. In the winter, they made snow cream with sugar, snow, and sweet cream from Mama's cows. When spring came, they helped Papa tap the maple trees and catch the sap in buckets. Then they made maple syrup and maple sugar candy. Arizona and her brother Jim walked up the road that wound by the creek to the one-room school. All the students in all the grades were there together in one room. All the students read their lessons aloud at the same time. They made a great deal of noise, so the school was called a glad school. The students carried their lunches in lard buckets made of tin. They brought ham and biscuits and sometimes had fried apple pie. They drank cool water from the spring at the bottom of the hill, and at recess they played games like tag and William the Trematoad. When Arizona had read all the books at the one-room school, she crossed the mountains to the school in another village. It was so far away that she rode her papa's mule. Sometimes she rode the mule through the snow. But when Arizona's mother died, Arizona had to leave school and stay home to care for Papa and her brother Jim. But she still loved to read and dream about the faraway places she would visit one day. So she read and she dreamed and she took care of Papa and Jim. Then one day, Papa brought home a new wife. Arizona could go away to school, where she could learn to be a teacher. Aunt Susie invited Arizona to live at her house and help with the chores. Aunt Susie made her work very hard, but at night, Arizona could study and dream of all the faraway places she would visit one day. Finally, Arizona returned to her home on Henson Creek. She was a teacher at last. She taught in the one-room school where she and Jim had sat. She made new chalkboards out of lumber from Papa's sawmill and covered them with polish made for shoes. She still wore long full dresses and a pretty white apron. She wore high-button shoes and many petticoats too. She grew flowers in every window. She taught students about words and numbers and faraway places they would visit someday. Have you been there? The students would ask. Only in my mind, she answered, but someday you will go. Arizona married the carpenter who built the new Riverside School down where Henson Creek joins the river. So Miss Arizona became Mrs. Hughes, and for the rest of her days she taught 4th grade students who called her Miss Shoes. And when her daughter was born, Miss Shoes brought the baby to school to the sunny room where flowers grew in every window. Every year, Arizona had a Christmas tree growing in a pot. The girls and boys made paper decorations to brighten the tree. Then they planted their tree at the edge of the schoolyard, year after year, until the entire playground was lined with living Christmas trees, like soldiers guarding the room where Arizona taught, with her long gray braids wound round her head, with her full dress and pretty white apron, with her high-button shoes and many petticoats too. The boys and girls who were students in her class had boys and girls who were students in her class, and they had boys and girls who were students in her class. For 57 years, my great Aunt Arizona hugged her students. She hugged them when their work was good, and she hugged them when it was not. She taught them words and numbers and about the faraway places they would visit someday. Have you been there? The students asked. Only in my mind, but someday you will go. My great Aunt Arizona taught my dad, Jim's only son, and she taught my brother and me in the 4th grade. With her soft white braids wound round her head, she taught us about the faraway places we would visit someday. My great Aunt Arizona died on her 93rd birthday, but she goes with me in my mind. A very tall lady in a long full dress and a pretty white apron, with her high-button shoes and her many petticoats too. She's always there, in a sunny room with many flowers in every window, and a hug for me every day. She never did go to the faraway places she taught us about, but my great Aunt Arizona travels with me, and with those of us whose lives she touched. She goes with us in our minds. And so, y'all know I love a good children's book, but I especially picked my great Aunt Arizona this year because if you look inside your program, there are quotes from each of our school teachers of the year. And I pulled those quotes directly from the essays that they have to write as part of the competition for the Wayne County Teacher of the Year. And I was so touched by so many of the quotes, and or so many of really their whole papers. It's a real pleasure to get to read those. But I felt like they all had a common theme, that these 8 women that we're honoring tonight really understand that they're dropping a pebble in the water, and that those ripples are going out for a long time. And I think that they really get it, that even for the small amount of time that they have the children with them in their classroom or their students, of course, for our older kids, that they have an opportunity to make a difference. And I am so proud to work with all of these 8 women because they get that. They get that every day when they go into the classroom, and it's hard work and it can be frustrating work, but they're having a chance to make a difference. And I feel like that they are taking advantage of every one of those chances to make the world a better place for our students and to help those students be able to go anywhere that they want to go. And all of the students who are touched by these teachers will take these teachers with them in their minds as they go out and change the world. So one thing that we did ask that we changed a little bit this year, and I'll walk around with the microphone, principals, so you won't have to come up, but I asked each principal if they would tell us just a little snippet about why their school teacher of the year is teacher of the year. And I could say loads and loads about every one of these teachers, but I think sometimes it's nice to hear your boss say really nice things about you. So I'm going to do my little mental roll call, and Mr. Ellis, that means that you get to go first, because James Baden is first on my mental roll call. So Mr. Ellis is going to tell us a little bit about Teresa Bush tonight.
Good evening. I'd like to recognize Teresa Bush as our Teacher of the Year for James E. Bacon Elementary. And I recall a vanity license plate that I saw about 29 years ago. And it was a Kentucky plate, and it had the number 4, R, kids. And it was on a minivan, so obviously the mom and dad were really proud and doing everything they could for their kids. And that just resonates with what Teresa does. She is for our kids. Anytime you see her with the kids, in the classroom, on campus, she is for the kids, and that's the right reason.
All right, next we're going to let Ms. Carla Ogden talk a little bit about Tamiko Stewart Edwards.
And so when I was thinking about Miss Edwards, I thought about all the people in our building that respect her, the students, colleagues, and myself. So I gathered some comments from some of our staff members and some of our students. Miss Edwards is a pre-K teacher at our school, and she's been teaching for 21 years. And within the first week of school, she had 22 4-year-olds. Now think about that, 22 4-year-olds walking in a straight line to the lunchroom, picking up their trays and becoming little independent people. It's just amazing to watch pre-K teachers. So I asked 2 of her students today, what makes Miss Edwards a great teacher? And one of them said that she was a great teacher because she lets them play outside, because that's important. And then another one said that I like her because she's silly. So I thought that was fun too. Her paraprofessional said, when I think about Miss Edwards, she's just a champion for kids. And this lady works with her every day, so that says a lot. I also talked to another coworker, and she sent me something in an email because she said, I just really need to think about what I would want to say about her. And she said, educational rock star would be an understatement to describe Tamiko Edwards. She's one of the most compassionate, loving, caring, thoughtful, and inspiring teachers I've ever had the pleasure of knowing and working with. As a new teacher to pre-K, she was a godsend to me. There was never a time that she did not attempt to help me or offer some form of encouragement just when I needed it. Still to this day, I have such a special place in my heart for her. She is such a godly woman who inspires me in many ways. I consider her to be my educational role model. And so she wanted me to tell Miss Edwards tonight.
The sponsors this year have been very, very generous, and so let me say a quick thank you to our sponsors. Again, about 18 years ago, there was a group of several businesses that wanted to do something to honor our teachers. And so we just got together and said, let's do it together. And so tonight we need to thank Rayonier Advanced Materials, and we have Clay Bethay with us tonight. We have Interstate Federal Credit Union, Stacy Branch and Teresa Dyson, Coca-Cola, Country Financial, Shauna Quinn, Wayne County Partners in Education. Representing them, we have Aaron Franks, Kelly Shanklin, Reggie Burgess, Dina Bennett, Alan Polske. We have Prime South Bank. Here we have Karen Harris, Wayne County Chamber of Commerce, Wayne County Tourism Board, Southeastern Gin and Peanut, And a couple of new sponsors this year. We have Marshland Federal Credit Union, and we have Jody, Heather, and Julie here tonight. And we have Camores, and we have me with the newspaper, the Press Sentinel. And we also want to thank Samantha Jones with Pine Forest Country Club. I think dinner was great tonight, and they really have worked hard to put on a nice evening for us tonight. Well, the first thing we're going to give out tonight is, and some of the teachers, you may have seen this around the schools, these apples, and each apple is hand painted by Laura Cooper. You know, none of them are the same. They're all individual hand painted apples. And this year, sometimes we try to guess what the apple is, but this year it's a gala apple. And last year, I gave a description of, I can't remember what apple, but I read the description of the apple because I thought it kind of spoke and told, you know, what this crop of Teachers of the Year were. And Amy said it made me sound like a creeper, but I said it anyway. And so this year, I think the gala apples are spot on. The gala apple is the mellowest of all apples. It has a floral aroma and a simple sweetness with hints of vanilla. And on average, they weigh 140 grams. And so I think that speaks to our teachers. All right, and so Sean, do you want to help?
Happy to be a part of this community. More just happy to be a part of the community. I'm going to skip the corporate line speech just to tell you that I'm a son of a teacher, and I know the level of patience that's required to be a really great teacher. I tried teaching for a little bit, just enough to know that I was not cut out for it. And so I'm honored to be here tonight among some phenomenal educators, and I appreciate you allowing me to come. So, who am I? Again, David Settles. I was born and raised in Lee County, Georgia. I've been out of Georgia for about 20 years, lived in Florida. But within the next 3 or 4 months, I'm moving home. And so I'm excited to be coming, and I'm excited to be working in the Jessup Mine. I'll be the plant manager there. I'm excited to be hiring, hopefully, some kids that have come through these schools. So thank you again for allowing me to come tonight.
I want to just say a few thank yous. First of all, to the Teachers of the Year. You know, just I hope you, you know, this is all about you, like Amy said at the beginning. So I hope you, you know, take these small tokens of our appreciation. You know, what a great night. We appreciate what you do every day as a teacher. You're doing the most important job on the face of earth. I truly believe that. It's also one of the hardest, but the hard is what makes it great. There's no replacing teachers and what they do, and for you to be recognized by your colleagues, you know, as the Teacher of the Year in their school, that means something. So don't forget that. Take pause and pat yourself on the back. You know, you don't get that notoriety, and you don't. And I know you don't do the job for the money, of course, or you know, for your face on the front page of the newspaper, or in bright lights. But you are a big deal. You're changing lives, you're shaping lives, and that's a powerful thing. From when they show up with us at 4 years old until they walk across the field at JC Stadium. So congratulations, we appreciate you. Thank you for what you do. I also want to thank your support staff. I'll call that your support staff at the house, your family, friends, your support network. That's just as important. Teaching is a stressful job. Like I said, it's hard. And so you got to have that support. You know, there's some days it's frustrating because you deal with a lot of things you don't control. But appreciate you being here tonight. Appreciate our community members, partners. We couldn't put this together, or Amy and Eric couldn't put it together without that support. And there's some nice gifts, and I hope you know, everybody needs to take a look at what's inside some of those bags. There's some really neat gifts. But appreciate our community partners. You know, what they do, not just tonight, they do it year round, all the time. You know, I feel bad about going to them, because they do get a hit up all year round with all our different groups. Appreciate, it's already been said, but I do appreciate Pine Forest Country Club hosting us here tonight, and a great decision. And most of you, they wouldn't tell you anything, but Eric, Benny, and Amy, they pretty much run this thing all by themselves as far as putting it together. Somebody's got to head it up. Somebody's got to get the loans on the table, organize it, communicate with all our community partners, and make it happen. It just doesn't happen every year last year. So let's give them a round of applause. All right, with that, that concludes our program, so everybody drive home safe.
Wow, I didn't realize it was 53,000. So I was trying to think of what I was going to say tonight, and so I asked Kelly, I said, what should I say? And she said, you need to write your own speech. And so I thought about, speaking to the teachers and the brave new world we're in, AI technology. We're going to have self-driving cars. We're going to have things at the plant. We already have them. We got cameras now that can look at wood and tell you what species it is, or if it's got too much bark on it. So we've got AI already working right here, and I was thinking, that's what I need to tell these teachers what they need to do. And I said, that really doesn't fit. But there's two things a teacher has to do. First, the teacher has to teach a skill. And I'll admit, my teachers didn't teach me how to spell very well. So I send documents to Kelly and say, check this. But the most important thing I think teachers do is build relationships with children. And so I was thinking about how to develop this idea, and I had several things. And one of the key things I talk about at work all the time, and it's actually attributed to Theodore Roosevelt and some other people, Earl Nightingale, but it's people don't care what you know until they know how much you care. And so I was going to develop that idea and just say a few words around that. But I got to reading the program. And so Ms. Kicklighter, people want to understand, to be understood and appreciated for who you are. And when they invest our time and interest in the people, developing a relationship. Because you can't teach people until you have a relationship. So Teresa Bush, help my students in any way possible. Well, you gotta help people to build relationships. Tamika, you actually stated exactly what I would have. Build strong relationships with each child. Have you ever thought about, as we go through life, you can't influence somebody that you don't have a relationship with? And that's one of the things I have to do right here. I have to build relationships. As somebody said at my table, well, you're the big guy. And I always want to respond there, I'm not that fat. But at the end of the day, if you really want to influence people and move an organization, it's about building relationships. So Laura Sloan actually says, teachers show their students that they believe in them and that they can trust their teacher. That's one of the biggest things that I have to do as a GM, is get people to trust in me. And that's what we all have to do. Susan McCrary, my responsibility is for all students to feel loved and respected. You see how all of this is about relationships? And that's what we do as parents with our children, right? But as teachers, you have to do that every day. And you come to school some days not feeling so good. But you always have to be trying to gain the respect and the trust of the children that you teach, so you can teach them. Be positive influence for your students every day, Lacey Phillips. Don't give up, Karen Smith. And last, Cassidy Burton. Because I will do what it takes to ensure students have access to the same quality education, Cassidy Burton. So I think as we go through life, I think one of the most important things we can do is build relationships. And you teachers, I thought it's kind of interesting. I was still working on what I was gonna say, but as I was reading these quotes, I was like, wow, it's there. So I don't think it's by coincidence that all of you understand relationships being the teachers of your schools, that you've been chosen. So I like the quote, don't forget it, people don't care what you know until they know how much you care. I think that's a good quote. It's a neat quote. There's two things I like to talk about in life. You're not supposed to talk about either one of them, politics and religion. That's the only two things I really want to talk about. If you talk about football, my kids say, Dad, don't you know that quarterback? I'm like, I don't know. But if you go to the Bible, what's the second greatest commandment? Love thy neighbor. Build a relationship. So I'll leave you with that. I think life's about relationships, and life's too short to be given up on relationships and building them every day. So anyway, as Rainier, we want to give you a gift, and I don't know how you want to do this.
Here.